Okay, turn myself up here a little bit. It is 2 o'clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we have quorum. So I'm going to start the meeting and I'll call to order the Board Budget and Finance Committee meeting at 2 p.m. I want to thank you for joining us today on Wednesday, January 13th. Before we get started with today's business, please ensure you're in a quiet environment with no background noise and mute your devices until called upon to speak by either the chair or the clerk. Joan, would you read the special notice, please?
On March 4, 2020, Governor Newsom proclaimed a state of emergency in California as a result of the threat of COVID-19. Public gatherings are to be limited. Further, on March 18, 2020, Governor Newsom temporarily suspended the Brown Act requirements pertaining to telephonic conferencing of local government meetings and the requirement to have at least one physical location available to the public for purposes of attending the meeting. As such, RTA has opted to conduct the January 13, 2021 Budget and Finance Committee meeting via teleconference.
Thank you, Joan. And for today's meeting, I'm going to apologize. My allergies are killing me, so I sneeze at random. So if you hear this big chew, it's allergies. We'll take phone call. Yeah, we'll take phone calls. We'll take roll call today. And Joan, will you do that, please?
Yes. City of Hemet.
Yes, ma'am.
City of Paris. City of Norco.
Yes.
County of Riverside, District 5.
Yes.
City of Jurupa Valley.
Here.
City of Calamasa.
Here.
City of Wildomar.
Here.
City of Lake Elsinore.
Here.
City of Canyon Lake.
Here.
County of Riverside, District 3.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum. Members, please remember to remute your devices.
Very good. Thank you, Joan. And would you please take attendance of the RTA staff?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Larry Rubio?
Here.
Craig Boehner?
Here.
Tom Franklin?
Here.
Vince Russo? Laura Camacho?
Here.
Rick Majors?
Here.
Christian Warsinski?
Here.
Natalie Zaragoza?
Here.
Rick Kazarowski?
Here.
Jim Neepkins?
Here.
Charlie Ramirez?
Here.
Jessica Leon?
Here.
We're done.
Okay, done with staff roll call.
Yes, we're finished. Thank you, Chair Krupa.
Okay, before we get into the agenda items, I just want to welcome some of the new people that we have with us today, Brian Berkson and Ted Hoffman, and well, I guess Art Welsh in a different capacity than what he was before from the city of Banning. So welcome all of you, and I don't know that I've missed anybody that is new, and welcome back to those of you who have been with us before. I'm Linda Krupa, your chair of this committee for today and chair of the board going forward this year, which I thoroughly appreciate the confidence. And Bridget, I know you're going to be close by all the time as past chair. I'm going to be relying on you a lot. So welcome to everybody. And with that, we'll go into item number 3, which is public comment on non-agenda items. And Joan, would you please read the instructions for that?
Yes. Members of the public may address the board regarding any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. However, no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to matters not listed on the agenda. Members of the public may comment on any matter listed on the agenda at the time that the board considers that matter. Each person's presentation is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. And Chair Krupa, I did receive a request to speak from Mr. Keith White, who asked his comment be read for him.
Very good. Would you do that now, please?
Yes. Good afternoon, committee members. I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. Please be safe. I want to let you know my daughter Melissa recovered from COVID and is now negative and is doing much better. Please wear your mask. I got a call the other day. My other daughter, Crystal, got COVID. Please be safe. Thank you for your time. Sincerely yours, Keith White.
Thank you, Joan. And we always thank Mr. White for being so involved with RTA and being such a positive community member and avid RTA fan. So heed his directions and wear your masks and we'll all get through this. So is there anyone else on the line that would like to make comments on items not on the agenda? Hearing none, we will go on to public comment portion for, I'm sorry, did I just do this all wrong? Nope, I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're going to item number 4, approval of the minutes for December 2nd, 2020. Do I have any comments on the minutes?
Wildemar approves, or Wildemar motions?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Wildemar and a second by Calamesa. Are there any no's?
I'll abstain, Rupa Valley.
Okay, we have 1 abstention.
Welch, District 5 abstains.
Okay, we have 2 abstentions. Any others? Okay, hearing none. The motion does pass with, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'm counting us 4, 5, 6, 7 yeses and 2 abstentions. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you, Joan. Okay, the next item is number 5, the cash flow projections. And today, Charlie Ramirez will give our presentation. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Charlie Ramirez, and I am the agency's controller. You have before you on page 8, the agency's actual cash position through December of 2020, with projected cash activities through February 2021. This is a period that caps the first 8 months of fiscal year 2021. I am happy to report that there are no anticipated cash flow issues during this reporting period. And that concludes my presentation. Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments on the cash flow projections? Seeing and hearing none, we will receive and file that item and go on to Transportation Center monthly report for November. I'm in the wrong agenda, aren't I? Okay.
I believe that.
I'm sorry, I've got one printed in front of me and I went on my iPad and pushed click here and realized I was in the admin and operations agenda and not in budget and finance. So I beg your apologies on this one and I'll try and pay attention to what I'm doing here. Item 6, agency investment policy, and Charlie will present that also.
Thank you again, Chair. Per the RTA Board of Directors, the agency's investment policy is required to be reviewed and adopted annually. The policy outlines 3 key objectives for investments made by the agency. In order of priority, they are 1, to preserve principal, 2, to maintain liquidity, and 3, to achieve a maximum rate of return given the constraints of objectives 1 and 2. For 2021, staff has no recommended changes to the existing policy, and the policy itself is attached to the staff report for your review. The recommendation before you today is to recommend this item to the full Board of Directors for their consideration as follows. Adopt the agency investment policy for 2021, and that concludes my presentation. Chair Krupa.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Are there any questions from committee members? Any questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I would like a motion to adopt the investment policy.
So moved.
Canyon Lake.
Whoa. Okay,
Second, District 5, that's okay.
District 5, and was that Jeremy? Who made the motion?
Canyon Lake.
Okay, Canyon Lake makes the motion, and District 5 is the second. Are there
Right.
any noes? Are there any abstentions? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 7 is the authorization to award agreement number 20-061 to 3L Executive Services to provide steel piston upgrade services for up to 55 buses. And Natalie Zaragoza will present.
Good afternoon, Chair Krupa, members of the committee. My name is Natalie Zaragoza, and I'm the agency's Director of Contracts. The item before you today is a request for authorization to award agreement number 20-061 to 3L Executive Services for steel piston upgrades for 55 bus vehicles. The agency's current fleet of 40-foot Gillig vehicles was originally procured in 2011. It was then awarded in September of 2012, and delivery of all 145 vehicles was accomplished by April of 2017. As noted in the staff report before you today, these buses travel approximately 50 to 55,000 miles per year on average, and thus many are at the 400,000 mile mark. When the procurement was originally issued in 2011, the only natural gas engine available for Southern California public transit vehicles was the 8.9 liter ISLG Cummins engine. No other manufacturer offered a natural gas engine that was compliant with the requirements of the California Air Resources Board. Staff heard from OCTA that they were experiencing issues and failures with this Cummins engine on a recent 40-foot bus purchase. As a result, staff worked with outside counsel to proactively negotiate an upgraded warranty with Cummins as a part of the 40-foot vehicle purchase from Gillig to put the agency in the best position possible. Cummins began providing warranty work on these engines as early as 2016. In April of 2017, Cummins began providing steel piston upgrade kits, and 88 engines were upgraded with these kits under the agency's warranty. In April of 2020, this warranty ended, and the board authorized staff to proceed with the upgrade of 15 engines to give staff further time to evaluate the performance of these engines with the steel pistons. The cost of a new 8.9 liter ISLG Cummins engine is approximately $50,000. At a cost of roughly $13,500 per rebuild, rebuilding the engine is much more economical. Additionally, rebuilt engines come with a 1-year unlimited mileage, parts, and labor warranty. Historically, the agency has experienced very good performance from rebuilt components, including the recent rebuild of 15 engines that were approved by the board in April of 2020. As a result, staff chose to proactively upgrade the remaining fleet to prevent in-service road failures. So on November 3rd, 2020, the agency issued IFB number 20-061. 2 bids were received, one from 3L Executive Services and one from Cummins, Inc. The results are on page 17 of today's agenda. After a thorough review of the low bidding firm's submittal to ensure its compliance with the requirements of the IFB and a check of references, staff recommends awarding a contract to 3L Executive Services, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. This vendor has provided these same services to the City of Santa Monica, which is the Big Blue Bus Transit Service, Foothill Transit, and the City of Pasadena. Sufficient funds were included in the agency's board-approved capital budget as shown on page 17 of today's staff report. Therefore, the action before you today is to approve and recommend this item to the full board of directors for their consideration of the award of an agreement to 3L Executive Services for steel piston upgrade services for 55 buses in amount not to exceed $742,019.85. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Natalie. Are there any questions from committee members? Any questions from anyone in the public? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve?
Wildemar,
So moved.
Okay, we've got Wildemar that approved, and was that Canyon Lake?
yeah, Jeremy.
Yes.
Okay, Canyon Lake as a second. Are there any noes? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Natalie. Item number 8 is to ratify emergency expenditures with Eastvale Urgent Care and World Back to Work for employees COVID-19 testing, and authorize staff to amend agreement number 15-001 with Empire Transportation for COVID-19 testing, authorize staff to amend agreement number 17-008 with Southland Transit for COVID testing. And Natalie, you are back on.
Thank you so much, Chair Krupa. As everyone is well aware, the agency, like other businesses, has been dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic since March of last year. These past 10 months have caused a great deal of disruption to our economy, the way business is conducted in general, and has been very difficult on our operations as the state and local health departments' guidelines have continued to change and evolve. While the agency has done everything possible to create and maintain the safest workplace environment for its employees and customers, the COVID-19 virus continues to worsen, with more employees testing positive. Due to the increasing number of positive cases, on November 30, 2020, the State of California Department of Industrial Relations approved a new emergency temporary workplace safety and health regulations that require employers to now take additional steps to protect workers who may have been exposed in the workplace. To comply with these new regulations, employers must follow the requirements for testing and notifying public health officials of workplace outbreaks if there are 3 or more cases in a 14-day period, and to report major outbreaks, which are 20 or more cases within a 30-day period. Because the agency had 3 reportable COVID-19 cases in the workplace the week of December 1, per these emergency Cal-OSHA regulations, the agency is now immediately required to make COVID testing available for all employees who potentially could have been exposed. The regulations also require that the testing be done weekly and must be provided during the employee's normal working hours at no cost to the employee. And the testing must continue until there are no new reportable cases in the workplace within a 14-day period. The regulations also state that testing can be done through an employer, a local health department or clinic, a health plan, or at a community testing center. Staff evaluated all options and determined that based upon the type of operation that we run here at RTA, providing testing at RTA through a local healthcare provider was the most efficient and cost-effective option. On Saturday, December 5, staff contacted several clinics and healthcare providers to obtain pricing for this mandatory testing and to determine how quickly they could mobilize to meet the agency's needs. In total, 16 providers were contacted, and a list of those that were contacted are included as an attachment to the staff report. Based on staff's research, only Eastvale Urgent Care was able to mobilize and begin testing the very next business day, which was Monday, December 7. And they were able to do this for both our Riverside and Hemet facilities. It was quite an achievement to get this done over the weekend so that we would be in compliance with the Cal-OSHA guidelines come Monday morning. The test administered through Eastvale Urgent Care is the rapid test that provides test results within 15 to 20 minutes. This enables employees that test positive to be relieved from duty immediately and to limit the potential exposure to other employees in the workplace. Eastvale Urgent Care was able to provide these services for the weeks of December 7 and December 14. However, they were not able to continue testing beyond December 18 due to the availability of test kits. As a result, staff contracted with World Back to Work excuse me, to continue these services starting the week of December 21. To add to this, during the month of December, the agency reached a major outbreak milestone by having 20 or more positive COVID-19 cases in an exposed workplace within a 30-day period. This required the agency to make testing available to employees twice per week. One thing that I'd like to point out is that while the regulation requires employers to make the testing available, employees are not required and cannot be forced to take the test. As of this writing, World Back to Work is providing these services and will continue to provide these services through the end of February. Lastly, the agency's 2 service providers, Empire Transportation and Southland Transit, are both experiencing similar outbreaks of COVID-19 in the workplace. Like the agency, each contractor is now required to make testing available to its employees in order to continue to operate. As a reminder, transit service is considered essential regardless of whether the service is provided, excuse me, by RTA employees directly or through contract employees. Therefore, the agency must continue to provide service during the pandemic while doing everything possible to protect its employees. Since the COVID-19 pandemic could not have been foreseen, provisions to accommodate the Cal OSHA Emergency Temporary Workplace Safety and Health Regulations were not included in the agency's contract with its current service providers. Therefore, staff is recommending the agency amend the agreements with both Empire and Southland and provide financial assistance to them to meet the emergency Cal OSHA regulations. Combined, Empire and Southland currently have 201 employees that are dedicated to the agency's contracts. To that end, staff is recommending that the agency reimburse these two service providers 50% up to $80 of the cost of each test for qualified contract employees. With safety as the agency's #1 core value, the health and welfare of our employees, our service providers, our customers, and the public is paramount. Because of exigent circumstances and the need to procure these services to comply with the emergency Cal OSHA regulations, staff is asking the board to ratify expenditures to date and to authorize staff to continue testing services of World Back to Work through February 28, at which time staff will assess whether the services may need to be extended, including contractor reimbursement for these services should infections continue to rise. As the situation unfolds, staff will provide the board with a further update at the January Board of Directors meeting. The information included in this report was discussed with the Executive Committee on December 17, with the understanding that staff would return to the Board of Directors for ratification during the January board cycle. While the agency has 463 active employees, on average, 245 employees have been elected to be tested weekly. The cost for COVID-19 testing for agency employees through February 28 of 2021, including expenditures for actuals to date, is estimated to total approximately $550,000. The cost for contract employees, which is Empire Transportation and Southland Transit, for COVID-19 tested is estimated to be approximately $270,000, with the agency reimbursing 50% of this cost, or $135,000 total. Expenditures for this request can be absorbed in the current board-approved FY21 operating budget. Therefore, the recommendation before you today is to approve, excuse me, and recommend this item to the full board of directors for their consideration as follows. Ratify emergency expenditures with Eastvale Urgent Care and World Back to Work for employee on-site COVID-19 testing for agency employees in compliance with the emergency Cal OSHA guidelines in an amount that will not exceed $550,000 through February 28 of 2021. Next, authorize staff to amend agreement number 15-001 with Empire Transportation in an amount not to exceed $84,000, which will cover 50% of the cost of COVID-19 testing for qualified employees. Finally, to authorize staff to amend agreement number 17-008 with Southland Transit in an amount not to exceed $51,000 to cover 50% of the cost of COVID-19 testing for qualified employees. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Are there any questions from committee members on this?
I have a question. Going back to the statement about the number of employees that have elected to be tested weekly compared to the total. The total is 463. Those who have elected to be tested is 245. Why are we only getting that percentage? It looks like about 50%, maybe 60% that elected to be tested weekly. And is there any other or further obligations from those employees who choose not to?
Sure.
Director Welch, I'd be happy to answer that question. This is Larry Rubio. We cannot compel them to take the test. There are some employees who take the test weekly. The test can be somewhat invasive. It's a nasal swab, and depending on who the person is that's collecting the sample, It can irritate the nasal passage. So some have done it the first time and it was painful and they've elected not to do it. Some have elected to not do it at all. We're trying to encourage them all to do it. We had an employee in Hemet who was asymptomatic after the test. She was determined to be positive. She took the test the second time, was identified positive the second time, and absolutely didn't believe she was positive. She argued with us, didn't believe the virus existed, and to this day is still angry. It's very divided on how people feel about the virus, about wearing masks, about testing, about the vaccination. It's pretty amazing to watch this unfold right in front of us. So I wish they would all test. We've had, I believe, 22 asymptomatic identified here at work, which I'm sorry that they tested positive, but I'm happy that we identified them and got them out of the workforce. And they're also now able to isolate from their family members in addition to that. So it has had a benefit.
Now, that's why my question, I have a concern for people who choose not to be tested, could be positive and in the workforce before it's discovered. And this thing is very contagious and airborne to start with. So I was just wondering if there's any way, I don't mean to force people, but if there's any way to really sell this idea of all of them being tested.
Our operations management staff have been out encouraging, as well as our HR staff, encouraging employees as they come on duty, as they finish their routes, trying to get them to test. And a lot have, but there are many who just have not, and they will not test. It's very convenient. It's right here, but unfortunately, not all will do it.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments by committee members? Brian, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I was curious, is there any CARES Act funding to cover these costs?
Director Berkson, this is Craig Fainer, the Chief Financial Officer. Yes, there is, but we are also pursuing money under the FEMA program to mitigate the spread of COVID. So we're pursuing a number of different avenues. We'll probably go in with a mixed bag because the FEMA money, you run the risk of not being approved. Also, it can take a little bit of time to get the money back. So we have to segment those expenditures accordingly. We will use CARES Act money when we can. We will use other revenue sources when we can to cover the expense. So wish us luck.
Absolutely. The other question I had was, because of the ongoing testing that needs to be done, has RTA reached out to the county health department to see if they'd send a team over once a week or something to do testing that may not cost RTA anything?
Director Burks and Larry Rubio again, we have not, but that's a great idea. As soon as this meeting's over, we'll make that call and ask if they can assist.
Yeah, and I say that because I know that Rta Community Services District has had a couple, at least 2 events at their main headquarters. Well, it was open to the public, but they tested all the employees who wanted it, and they opened it up to some of the public as like a mobile site, so to speak. And there was no cost to anybody that was there, so maybe the county can help out and save some money for RTA.
I appreciate the suggestion.
Yeah.
Good points. Any other committee members wishing to make comments or have questions? Okay, is there anyone from the public that would like to ask a question or make a comment on this presentation? Hearing none, then we need a motion to approve.
District 5 makes a motion to approve.
And we have a second. Bridget, was that you?
Second.
Yeah, okay, Wildemar second. Do we have any noes? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, we will go on to board member comments. And to get through this, I'm just going to call your name. And if you have something that you would like to comment on, please do. And we'll start with Linda Molina from Calamasa.
You know, I always want to talk.
We know that.
You're right. I just really wanted to say how nice it is to see staff again, but I'd like to welcome our new board members and assure them that they're going to enjoy their experience with RTA and look forward to a new year. Thank you. And everybody, please stay safe.
Thank you, Linda. Jeremy?
Nothing to report. Just want to say Happy New Year's, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you, Jer. Brian, any additional comments?
Sure, it's good to be the primary member. I have been the alternate for the last 6 years, I think. Yeah, 6 years. So now that Anthony Kelly is not a council member, I've taken the primary role. So happy to be here. And one thing I just wanted to ask, maybe it can be discussed at the appropriate time. I also sit on the Metrolink Board of Directors through RCTC. And one thing I brought up to them at the last meeting, which I think is just as relevant here at RTA, was to discuss and see if there's interest in creating a temporary fare policy for vaccine recipients. Something like if you have your vaccine card, maybe we have a couple of weeks worth of free bus rides or something to promote either going to get your vaccine or once you have it to kind of say, good job, pat on the back. So maybe that's something that we can address at the appropriate time in the near future. And that's all. Good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. That's a good suggestion, and I'm sure staff will check into that immediately. Timothy, anything to add?
Yes, this may fall under the announcement, but as you know, or you may not know, our extraordinary city manager, Grant Yates, retired recently. And last night, the council decided to hire Jason Simpson, who has been our assistant city manager, to take his place. Jason is an extraordinary individual who's done great work for Lake Elsinore, and we're looking forward to working with him. We're going to miss Grant terribly. Wonderful individual, as you know, if you know him. He did an amazing job, and he's going to be missed. So I just wanted to let folks know about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Yes, I saw that Grant had retired, and he's been an extraordinary city manager his entire life, and I'm sure you will miss him. But you have a good backup in Jason. Ted, do you have anything to contribute? And you're on mute. There you go.
Yeah, I know. Okay. No, I'm glad to be aboard. I was the alternate for a long time. I'm going to have a tough pair of boots and a hat to fill, but I'm looking forward to it. So, on the full time. Right now it's difficult because it's I also have the Western Community Energy meeting going at the same time. I wasn't be distracted, but hopefully we'll get back to our first Wednesday of the month meeting, so I don't have the overlap.
Yes, we will do that. And welcome, Ted, and feel free to wear your hat.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see, Malcolm is not with us today. So Bridget, we're on to you.
I'd just say Happy New Year. Welcome to all those alternates that are now the board members. You're really going to enjoy being on here. And I just love already the new suggestions from Brian. So that's what we want to see. So keep it up. Stay healthy.
Thanks, Bridget. Michelle.
Happy New Year, everyone. Just want to take a minute and thank RTA staff again for doing such a good job of keeping us all up to speed on everything, especially in COVID times, and getting Saturday night emails from Larry with the updates is greatly appreciated. Supervisor Washington and I have shared those, discussed them with public health, and you've been dealing with some significant numbers of late. And so we share your concern. We appreciate the communication. And if I can assist with a connection to public health, to have that conversation, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that. Mr. Welsh.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm no longer an elected official in my community. After 12 years on the council, it was time to lose an election, which I readily did on the thing. But I am so happy to have the opportunity to continue to work with an organization like RTA and all of you. This is a real super group to be associated with, and I'm looking forward to this coming year. And I do wish everyone a safe and happy New Year.
Very good. Thank you so much, Art. It's always good to have you here, because who else would I pick on for whistling?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, one of them, one of your pick honors left.
I know.
Yeah.
Ted is going to have to step into that, because I had my favorite people to pick on during this. So it's always a good group. Okay, does anybody have any other announcements other than the comments you just made? If not, we will go on to Mr. Rubio, and Larry, take it away.
Thank you, Chair Krupa. It's great to see some things just don't change. And you never know who might be coming in that door next.
Sure.
That team is hard to break. Director D'Armond, if you have a contact number, I'd be happy to take it off your hands. Somebody with public health who we could reach out to directly. I know you do have some contacts, and it might help us cut through to the chase. We usually have to go through a maze of a phone tree before we get somebody that can actually pick up the phone. So if you can email it over, we'd love to get that from you. Our December ridership is down compared to the same month of the prior year, 63%. Our dollar ride ridership is down 75% in that same period. I believe the last I checked about an hour ago, this month we are at 22 positive COVID cases for our employees, 3 close contacts in that same period. They've been, of course, the positive cases have been instructed to isolate. They're removed from service, and the 3 close contacts have been removed from service and instructed to quarantine. I think the temporary vaccine fair pass is a great idea. The more people we could get to get that vaccine, the better off we're going to be as a society. I saw Craig taking notes over here, and we'll try and crunch some numbers and get that to the board committee ASAP. It's our hope we can get people vaccinated as quick as possible, and that would certainly be a good incentive to entice people to do that. That's all I have to report at this point, Chair Krupa. Please stay safe, and we'll continue to keep you updated as best we can.
Thank you very much, Larry. Yeah, on some of that, I know the county has, they were having a mobile unit at our library every Monday for about 3 or 4 weeks, I think it was. And just this week, they're going to be here Tuesday through Saturday with the mobile unit, and they hope they can test up to about 500 people a day. So they're rolling them through, and we've been hit at City Hall and through all the departments too. So it's really turning into not necessarily that they're all extremely ill, but just the fact that they then have to isolate, and it's proving very difficult. So we need to get through this the best way possible. If there is nothing else for the common good on this, we will, our next meeting will be Wednesday, February 3rd at 2 p.m. And I'm assuming it will be on Zoom. And with that, I want to wish everybody a happy new year and welcome to the new year and our committee. And I'll see you all at the board meeting at the end of this month. So happy new year, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And bye-bye. Stay safe.
Bye, everyone.